More Xbox performance gains are coming. Elden Ring, how does it run on the platform you want to play it on? And Xbox continues to sell and improve in Japan. Welcome back to another video, guys. If you enjoy daily content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So one of the best features available within the Xbox Series X and S is the variable rate shading. The RDNA 2 technology that Xbox waited before releasing this console was a great move, and we are seeing now that they are continuously working on variable rate shading, as variable rate shading 2.0 is going to promise more performance gains for the Xbox Series X and S. Now, this was shown off at a recent Microsoft Game Stack event where they went over VRS 2.0, saying that it's going to be able to cut down execution times for various functions on both the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. And they showed off Doom Eternal and Gears 5 for examples on how this is all going to work. And they had a 33% boost to nanite performance in internal tests conducted on the Xbox Series X. They say here that the new VRS 2.0 technology allowed the consoles to render complex objects on screen quicker than it had before, and that this was without affecting the final image quality, which is just great to see, that they're able to put this technology and give us great performance, not affect the image quality, which is something I think is extremely important going forward, especially for the Xbox Series S in particular, where we're seeing games come out, they look great, they still run great, but there definitely is the lower resolutions on that console. And sometimes a game like Dying Light 2, for example, has to keep it at 30 frames per second rather than giving us that great 60 frames per second experience. And I think technology like this is going to allow developers to give us that 60 FPS on the Series S with a higher resolution. Now, another great example they talked about here were the day and night cycles in 4K, and those are very taxing on the GPUs on these consoles. And with the Xbox Series X in particular, they saw a boost of around 45% on average during the times of dawn and dusk. So all great news. And VRS, once it's continuously utilized, once developers are implementing this into their games, and we're seeing this with newer releases in the future, I think we're going to see even more amazing things from these consoles. Especially, like I said, you think about the Series S, the price of the console, and if they can really utilize VRS 2.0 to give us that better image quality without sacrificing as much performance, then you're going to see people really ranting and raving about the Series S for what we're getting out of it for the price. I still think even today, without all of the stuff going on, the Series S is a great console. And then as well with the Series X, I mean, it's already powerful. We're already seeing amazing results from that, and that will just continue to improve. Okay, jumping over here to sales. So we got some updated sales from Famitsu, and it has to do with the Series X and S and how many units they sold in Japan right now and what the estimated hardware sales at. So we can see here, this is actually for the week of February 14th to February 20th. There are 1,936 Series X's sold and 2,863 Series S's sold. So right now puts the Xbox series of consoles at over 150,000 units sold in Japan. Now, I know you look at this and you may think that is a very small number compared to something like the PS5, which already has over 1 million units, and then you look at the Nintendo Switch, which I mean, absolutely crazy. But for Xbox, considering how they did last generation in Japan, they are doing significantly better this generation. In fact, in Japan last year, this is a tweet here from Hazard Gaming, that they had sold a total of 120,000 units in Japan throughout the entire generation, which, I mean, it was a bad generation for Xbox in general, even in North America, but already surpassing that, and it's going to continue to grow. Plus, these are just specifically the hardware sales. I would love to see the numbers around things like Xbox Game Pass, the ecosystem, and Xbox Cloud Gaming, how many people are taking part in that, and just how those numbers are going to grow as more Japanese games get onto the service. So today's the day Elden Ring has been released, but there has been a lot of talk about the performance of this game, and it seems like there are a decent amount of issues right now with it, depending on where you play. Nothing like that will completely break the game and truly ruin your experience, because people have talked about the issues, but have also said that it hasn't really hurt the experience too much. But Digital Foundry has done their thing so far, looking at Elden Ring with the recently released 1.02 2022 version of the game, and here's how it plays out with the Xbox consoles as well as the PlayStation 5. So the performance that they're saying here from the network test last year has pretty much been unchanged on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. There are two modes, the frame rate mode and the quality mode. And even after patch 1.02, the frame rate mode on both of these consoles continue to run around 45 to 60 frames per second, with the quality mode running around 30 to 60 frames per second. Now, because of these unlocked frame rates, it's resulted in the frame rates dipping and changing, going up and down, stuff like that. Now, there are workarounds for this on both consoles in terms of the frame rate, and you have VRR with the Xbox, which has been standard since the release of these consoles, and it's really helped just improve frame rates, steady them out, get games up to 120 frames per second on the Xbox Series X and S. So if you have a VRR display, go ahead, and that will help minimize the judders for Elden Ring. And if you are on the PlayStation 5, you can actually do something to smooth out the frame rate as well. It's a little bit of a different method, but what they're saying here is the best way to get the best frame rates on PS5 is to use the PS4 app, so the PS4 version of the game, or the PS4 Pro code path. So it will run the game at a lower resolution, lower settings. Things like grass density won't be as great, but with that, you'll get a more steady frame rate. So you could do that on PlayStation. Now, when it comes to PC, there seems like more issues with the game right now. They say here there are stutters of up to 250 milliseconds in length when new effects, enemies, and areas appear on screen. And they say a second and more pervasive stutter appears to be tied to loading new game areas when traversing the terrain. Moving from one area to the next can cause minor one-off frame drops a few times a minute, or at worst, tumbling frame time issues that drop the frame rate from a steady 60 into the 40s. And you can use things like G-Sync or FreeSync to help alleviate these issues with the game. So there are technical issues with Elden Ring, which is interesting because the game has been reviewed extremely well. I mean, one of the best review games ever in video games, getting tons of perfect scores. But at the end of the day, it seems like a lot of them are just kind of overlooking these technical issues with the game, which I would say, even as a person who is extremely excited for this game, I'm playing it day one, I would say that's almost a little bit unfair that some games get overlooked with these technical issues, but other games get really hit hard because of the technical issues. But hey, the game is still probably amazing, still probably one of the best games ever, looking aside from that, but maybe not a perfect 10 because of the technical issues at launch. Once these technical issues get worked out down the line, then it can get it up to that perfect 10. But hey, that's just the way that I look at it, because I think it has to be fair amongst all games when looking at technical issues if you're going to be giving a perfect score. That's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on VRS 2.0, Xbox sales in Japan, and the technical issues going on with Elden Ring. You enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, and you're new here, you like what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.